Well, it could be the culmination of a nasty corporate spat. Ketso Gordhan seems to have lost his battle to regain his leadership position at PPC. The cement maker has bowed to pressure to reshuffle its board, but there's no room for Gordhan, who's been lobbying to be reinstated. He quit as CEO in September after the board stopped him from firing an executive, sparking the feud that has undermined investor confidence. Gordhan accused the board of not being on board with his strategy to increase PPC's activity in Africa. They released the reasons for him wanting to fire the finance director, Tryphosa Ramona, which appeared whimsical. They said he had resigned and then wanted to return twice, and that behavior was expected to continue. Gordhan had canvassed shareholders to reinstate him and deal with the board, which he accused of poor governance. 4 of the board members will now step down, and they will be replaced by 6 new ones, expanding the number of members to 12. That means a vote on the proposal of some minority shareholders to remove the entire board will now not go ahead as planned. The minority shareholders had wanted Gordhan to be a director, but they've now accepted the reshuffle plan that leaves him out. A new CEO is being sought. PPC shares were higher earlier, but they closed the day a touch in the red. Well, the chair of the board, Bheki Sibiya, will also be leaving reportedly after the transition. Well, to discuss the latest development in the PPC boardroom drama that we've seen playing out, the chair, Bheki Sibiya, joins us on the line. Bheki, thank you for being with us. This has been a really nasty spat. Do you believe that it's over after what was reported today?
The experience which we had, which was very unfortunate, is indeed over, and we have agreed that we are going to keep as directors 6 of the current non-executive directors, and the 7th one will be an alternate director, and we will elect from the 6 who will be submitted by the requisitioning shareholders, plus the number which probably is going to be 8, which would be nominated by other shareholders. From the pool of 14 will elect 6 non-executive directors who will join the board as we move forward. That will be the board of the non-executive directors, which will then be later on supplemented by the board of the, or rather by the executive directors.
Bheki, I understand that you are leaving, and is that any vindication of what Ketso Gordhan was saying, that you couldn't lead this board and this reshuffle? Is it a vindication of what he was saying, that there were problems?
May we just understand that, because maybe we did not state it as clearly. I will leave after the transition has been handled. So when will that be? It will be at my decision. It will be during the next financial year. So from the AGM, I am going to be the director of the company and will continue to proceed operating as part of the board.
Bheki, but you have agreed to leave again. Is that because of the unhappiness of shareholders and sparked by the concerns of Ketso Gordhan himself?
It was volunteered by me and me alone. And so it has nothing to do with what is going on. I had offered that to the board previously, but as you are aware, there are 2 of the colleagues who decided that they are not going to be offering themselves to be available because of space creation. So for me, I will be leaving anything between January 2015 and January 2016, but it will be at the time that I believe the transition has happened, and therefore it is not going to be at the AGM.
All right. Bheki, there are many hanging questions now, because Gordhan made a few changes, I understand. A few more people were fired before he tried to fire the financial director. Do they have scope now to say that they were fired on whimsical terms? Because when the details came out about his concerns with the financial director, there were talk of the size of offices and things like that.
If there are some directors who feel they may have been services terminated inappropriately, we are having the country where the Labor Relations Act and the regime is great. They are free to do that at their discretion. But insofar as I know, there is no issue like that which is in the making.
Bheki, this did become a complete mudslinging match. He made serious claims against the board. You made serious claims against him. I don't know if his reputation could recover from those. Do you believe that the board stooped pretty low, or was it necessary in a fight like this?
I think he stooped very low. For us, we continue to maintain the moral high ground. And even today, after us looking at it and just saying we need to close this chapter, he continues to stoop low. We are disappointed, but he chooses, and it is his choice, which is very unfortunate.
Bheki, an underlying issue was raised. One of his claims was that this board was not able to lead the strategy as PPC wanted to expand its operations in Africa. How is that strategy going? And I learned last year, I think you said you wanted by 2017, 40% of your revenues to come from outside of South Africa. Is that on track?
One, the strategy is owned by the board, is executed by the CEO. The former CEO joined when the strategy had been adopted. And therefore, if he claims it's his strategy, he is wrong and he is wanting to steal that which belongs to the board. Secondly, we are on track and we are implementing the strategy. Post his departure, we have increased our equity in Ethiopia to 51%. Post his departure, we continue to engage with, among others, Algeria. We continue with growing in Zimbabwe, Rwanda, and DRC. And so his claim is without foundation.
Bheki, my final question. PPC was lauded when this gesture was announced that Ketso Gordhan and other execs would cut their salaries and increase the salaries of the lowest paid workers. I understand cleaners lifting to 12,500 rand. Is that era over? I mean, that was a good thing for the company. Is that era where the company looks beyond profits and looks at the social issues in our country, is that gone?
That era is going to continue. However, it is going to be less the salary sacrifice by the senior executives, because by doing that, the company would expose itself to competition of people who are looking for talent. For us, the issue of lifting the bottom is through salary increments and the wage increments, which are higher at the bottom than at the top. Secondly, it is the performance bonuses which are linked to productivity. And thirdly, it is associated with the shares in the company in which all the employees are shareholders. That is the strategy which is more sustainable than the salary sacrifice. The salary sacrifice was more of a short-term measure, but the long-term measure has got to be that which people have rightly earned as opposed to doled from the top.
All right, Bheki Sibiya, thank you for your time this evening, the chair of PPC.